I'm Ryan Milliken from Hardway Performance, and you're listening to the Diesel Power Podcast.
I'm Dimitri Miller with No Zone Diesel.
This is Anthony Range from XDP.
This is Jaron Holder from Holderdown Performance.
I'm Corey Willis from PPEI.
I'm Drew with D&J Precision Machine.
I'm Pinky.
And you're listening to the Diesel Power Podcast.
Diesel Power Podcast.
You're listening to the Diesel Power Podcast.
The Diesel Power Podcast.
The one and only Diesel Power Podcast.
We're excited to have the PSP crew here on the Diesel Power Podcast. We've got Art, Steven, and Richard, and we're going to talk Powerstrokes. We get a lot of questions if Powerstroke owners, and it's like, there's been so much advancement, especially, with the 6-liter side from where it was, 10 years ago to where, it is now, and we're really excited to have you guys on and want to welcome you.
Hey, thanks for letting us come on.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having us. Thank you, Pat.
Yeah, we're excited. When I think of you guys, I think of 6-liters, and one of the questions I've always wanted to ask is what is the best way to keep these trucks running? Like they're popular, they're affordable. A lot of people are getting into them. What's the formula for success with keeping a 6-liter Powerstroke up and running, doing work, and handling towing and street use and everything else?
Well, this is Steven, man. I think the first step, and with any platform, is to know your vehicle. So, a lot of guys, there's tons of 6-liters out there. So the first step is to know your vehicle, and that starts with a really good inspection on the truck to know kind of where the truck stands. Because, you don't want to be putting money into a truck that you've got some weak points in the low end of the motor, or you might have a cracked head or some major engine issues. So whenever a customer comes in our front door, we always start with, hey, let's get a good look at the truck. Let's do a full vehicle inspection. After that fact, what's really cool about the 6-liter is you can do a lot with the truck because parts are so inexpensive. So the first step is to make sure that we're addressing the core issues with the 6-liter. So in our opinion, the term bulletproofing gets thrown around so much when it comes to this motor, and unfortunately there's no standardization across the board. So, you might walk into a shop in Florida and ask for a bulletproof, and it's totally different than if you walked into a shop in Montana. So we think of bulletproofing on the 6-liter in 2 stages. We either think of an upper engine bulletproof or a complete engine bulletproof. And with the complete engine bulletproof and the upper engine, the real defining factor between those is addressing the lifter issue on the 6-liter. So we all know, and if you've ever owned a 6-liter, if you worked at a shop, all the time you see these trucks with lifter failures, and they fail for a couple different reasons. The design's not great, but usually it's because of lack of maintenance. We'll see the roller bearings on those lifters fail. They get thrown into the front cover. They score your low pressure oil pump. You lose base oil pressure, and it can just continue to go downhill from there. So we kind of take into account what the mileage is on the truck, what the maintenance history, if the customer knows about it, and we go from there. If we do go in, we've got into the low end of the truck, we've got some redesigned lifters that we've been using that we've seen amazing durability out of these things. So when we move past that with an upper engine set, we always like to go in with the updates that Ford has come out with. Ford, whether you're a believer in the 6-liter Powerstroke or not, Ford has put a lot of time into fixing some of the issues, and the OEM parts are, as everybody knows, are really good quality stuff. So depending on if you have an early or a late style 6-liter, all the Ford updates like the turbo drain pipe, the STC fitting on the late style, the dummy pipes and stand pipes on the late style. A lot of guys are going in with the 6-4 banjo bolts and washers to improve fuel supply to the injectors. Fuel pressure regulator has been updated, which is really critical to helping out the injector life. Fuel supply is an issue with the 6-liter. So, once we move past some of the updates, we look at cylinder heads. So a lot of guys, unfortunately, we see a lot of customers that they're given bad advice and they try to cut corners, maybe just resurfacing heads, and we see all kinds of issues from there. So we generally, if you've got a really good machine shop, a lot of times they can redo heads, completely deck them, set valve heights, replace valve seats, valves, springs, everything, go through these heads, and then you get a really fantastic warranty, if they completely go through the heads. So we go back in with heads. Everybody knows the 6-liter suffers from head gasket issues, and the fix for that is head studs. And nowadays, the machining processes for O-ringing these heads has become so precise that we almost always recommend O-ringing the heads. It's not expensive at all, and it really helps to improve the durability of them. So, from a rebuilding standpoint, you're hitting all of these common weak points in the 6-liter motor. And then once we've got we've got a good platform, maintenance, you really can't preach it enough. Maintenance is so critical, especially on the 6-liter. We highly recommend 3,000-mile oil changes, 10,000-mile fuel filter changes. And these are the kinds of things, it's simple, it doesn't cost a lot of money, but these are the kinds of things that are really going to push you to the 300, 400,000 mile mark. We've got multiple customers on the road with 600,000, 700,000 miles. Art's actually driving a 6-liter now that just crested 500,000 miles. So a lot of these factors will really help push you past that mileage. And you can't speak enough about some of the filtration systems that are on the market now. So guys are standard in the 6-liter is coolant filtration system. It really helps to protect the OEM oil cooler. The oil bypass filtration is great, man. We're kind of late to the game in the small and medium duty market. Guys, on cruise ships and big rigs have been using it for years. And when we're talking about the difference between filtering oil at 20 microns that most factory filters filter down to a bypass system that can filter 1 micron, it's incredible how much engine wear you can reduce just through good filtration. And the bypass systems are really inexpensive when you consider the benefit of them. Plus, they extend your oil change intervals. It's good across the board. So, with these kinds of modifications, we've seen, like I said, trucks that are pushing oil change intervals 10 to 15,000 miles with no negative effects. We've had some guys that even pushed it, 20 to 25,000 miles with consistent factory filter changes and with oil sampling to make sure that they're still on point. So with this kind of filtration, this is really the root of good durability in diesel motors. And beyond building and maintenance, treating your truck right is a part of the equation too. So making sure that when you're starting your truck up in the morning, everybody's running monitoring systems now. Let your truck warm up to I like to shoot for, in my 6-liter, I like to shoot for above 115 degree oil temp. That way I know things are starting to get warmed up and I can take off. I always let my truck cool down. The 6-liter is a oil-cooled turbo, so letting the truck cool down, it really reduces the amount of oil that can coke up in that turbo. And you really can't speak enough about driving your truck for extended periods of time too. We've seen diesel trucks that have numerous issues because customers will start them up and drive them a mile to the grocery store on the weekends, and then that's it. I drive my 6-liter about 75 miles a day, and we rebuilt the motor about 70,000 miles ago, and I don't have a drop of oil, and I haven't done anything to the truck since we rebuilt it. So it's a great platform. If you know what you're doing when you get into it, you've got a really good shop that you're working with. They know the right parts to use. There's nothing that this truck can't do.
One of the questions that I remember, I like to keep track of the ones that our fans send in to us. And a few guys have asked, when they do have a head gasket failure and they're pulling the heads off, they think fire rings, they think O-rings, and they don't really know if there's any trade-off or maybe what the differences are between them. How do you guys feel about, say, not O-ringing or firing versus O-ringing versus firing? Like, are there certain applications where you should do one versus another?
Yeah, in the 6-liter platform, we're big fans of O-ringing, and it's really just gained traction here. We've seen in the past year to year and a half to the point where we're doing it on every single set of heads that we put on. It's just the cost is so minimal. It's about $50 a cylinder, and the benefit is incredible. Plus, you can use, whatever standard OEM or Felpro gasket that you already use. And as far as fire ringing, we try to reserve fire ringing for, competition trucks only, just because of we found that they require a lot more maintenance than an O-ringed head, meaning torquing head bolts and stuff, or head stick.
Yeah, I think that'll help clarify, a bit for the owners out there if they're in this situation, which route they should go, and what you guys have seen with it, on daily drivers and things like that. It's important when it's all apart. It's cheaper than later. So.
Oh yeah, and absolutely. It's good to have that kind of information when you're going into it, because obviously going back into it is very cost prohibitive. So we pretty much across the board we're recommending O-ringing heads.
Now, as you do get into those higher mileage vehicles, does the maintenance schedule or the things that owners need to think about change, or is it still pretty much the same group of improvements?
Hey, Pat, this is Art. I would probably like to answer that question. And it really, as the vehicle's mileage goes up, it becomes a bit more crucial to the engine. By the manual, it tells you should be doing around 7,000 mile change intervals, and we recommend every customer that comes through our door, especially after a heavy build, or we ask customers what's their vision, what's their plan, what are they planning on doing with the truck, and obviously everybody's longevity. So we try to basically put them on a maintenance regimen where we're doing 3,000, 3,500 oil changes max. I tell people pay attention where you're filling up. And I live by this. I do not fill up my truck after a rainfall. What customers tell me, why? Well, you think about all that condensation, water entrampment within those tanks. I mean, you're going to suck some of that stuff up. Can you imagine, you've got this injector firing at extreme temperatures and extreme pressures. All it takes is a droplet of water to get in there and crack the nozzle, and there goes your rod, there goes your piston. So these are little things, and I do a lot of testing on different additives, and customers approach me all the time and tell me, well, what's the best additive? Well, really, I don't think I've run into a bad additive. Here recently, I'm filling up my truck and adding a quart of Powerstroke fluid to it. And I think it's helped it a lot. I can definitely tell it idles a little bit smoother. I tell customers, the biggest thing that I would like to address is get to know your technician, the mechanic, the shop you're taking the truck to. Ask questions. Don't be afraid. Take advantage of, let's just say you're addressing one injector. Know your truck in the sense, okay, well, have I replaced the other injectors? What other updates can I do while I'm here? Most shops that are Powerstroke, savvy, or their specialty shops, they're going to tell you, well, you've got an old style dummy pipe. The stamp pipe needs to be updated. Your nipple O-rings, nipple cups are kind of worn. We can do them. All that's going to do is save you money in the long run. And this is one of those issues that I think why the 6-liter got so much a bad reputation is because we really didn't know what was going on with the engine. I'm a factory tech, and I'll tell you exactly how I saw it when these engines were falling apart and EGR coolers were blowing. There wasn't engineering didn't even know the problem. We had a 3-page, 4-page list, a technical service bulletin that we were supposed to address and test, and vacuum test the oil coolers. A lot of these guys that are factory trained can probably relate to me and tell you that it's a valid conversation. Well, all these issues basically resulted in nobody wanting to take ownership of a 6-liter Powerstroke. Well, here at PSP, we've been working on this engine for years, and it's been the underdog, and we love it. I love it so much that I've got 3 6-liters of my own, and like Stephen mentioned, one of them just cracked 500,000 miles. I've got a lifted F250, 8 inches, big mud tires, and I know going into that truck it needed head gaskets. Well, I wanted to stretch that barrier, and I want to be able to tell my customers, well, you know what, I know I've got blown head gaskets. I've got excessive pressure going into the cooling system. How fast do I need to address this? Well, Pat, it took the truck 1.5 years to basically hydrolock in my driveway, and even then, it still fired up. It brought me to work. I parked it. I swapped trucks, and it's basically just taking a break. So just to kind of going forward and tell you that, these trucks are out there. The problem's out there. Get to know your mechanic, your shop, ask questions, and all that stuff will basically just save you money in the long run.
It's really a key point in something I think a lot of truck owners don't really understand is, sometimes you have a problem with a vehicle. You just want to get that problem fixed. But, shops like yours, you guys understand how this motor works from front to back, top to bottom. And instead of going in there, say, 10 times to fix different things, you might be able to do it all at once, and that saves the customer a lot of money.
Well, that's the thing. Like, everybody's so, head gaskets and studs. We get numerous phone calls, like Steven said, bulletproof. We've had some guys, call and tell us, well, what do you guys charge to just basically remove the factory bolt and, add studs? We don't do that. We've never done it. Our approach is cab off. Every single truck that rolls in here is a cab off. I tell my customers, you're basically going to get 2 phone calls from me. You're going to get one phone call stating that the truck is in the shop and we are currently working on it. And the second phone call is I'm going to assess your vehicle as a whole. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. I'm going to put up a plan. I'm going to tell you how we should approach it and what updates need to be done. I tell, anything below like 150,000 miles, we really haven't seen a whole lot of issues with lifter problems. Anything over 150,000 miles, I encourage customers to, check crank end play, check lifter wear, and address it as a whole. And in the long run, we try to save customers money.
I think that's the critical point too. It's about saving customers money because we all drive 6 liters and our trucks are no different. They break too, so we know how expensive diesel repairs can be, and the idea is that if we can keep a customer's truck on the road by spending a little bit more up front, it helps the shop out. We don't have a truck that's continually coming back to the shop. It helps the customer out because a lot of our customers are, they work with their trucks, so it keeps them on the road longer. It keeps money in their pocket. It just helps everybody out. So the idea is to let's see how much we can address on the front end of this, so that we can make this good for everybody.
Yeah, that's I think what's key, on any platform, but especially with a 6-liter Powerstroke, is they have proven to be great trucks. And the innovations that you guys have made and done and the testing and everything, it's out there now. I mean, people know, and I think where that leads next is kind of into the performance aspect, because we all love horsepower, we all love torque, we all love racing, all that stuff. Is you guys have done some really cool things, and I saw this video on Facebook going around about this 800 horsepower 6-liter Powerstroke, and I had to ask you guys about this truck, what you did with it. Just what the details are on this setup.
I think we'll let Richard take lead on that. It's his personal truck and daily driver. So, Richard, if you can hear us, take over.
Hey, Pat. Thanks for having us. I got to say, probably about 2.5 years ago, when I purchased this truck, actually it's probably been closer to 3, I wanted to do something pretty spectacular with the truck, vision in mind, not just to have a Powerstroke, 6-liter Powerstroke, but, to really get some power out of it and make it look good too. I mean, obviously, under the hood, pop the hood and kind of be wowed. A lot of people look at my truck and they're like, man, it looks like a bone stock truck till you pop the hood. You know what I mean? Kind of a sleeper.
Those are the best kind.
Yeah, and that was kind of the idea in mind. People were asking me when I had it on the engine stand, and I had it on an engine on the stand for about roughly a year, what I was expecting out of it. And I was like, well, I'd like to get 700 horsepower out of this thing, and it'd be a good, reliable daily driver, The thing is, when you're pushing power like that, I mean, how how long is that engine going to hold that power, you know?
Yeah.
So obviously a daily driver in mind, you start from the inside out, you know? So I went ahead and started with the low end, forged rods, you know, upgraded pistons, went ahead, went stage 2 cam, updated the lifters, valve train, and from there, that's really just kind of, you know, your basic, or not basic, but, you know, you're securing the heart of the truck, you know what I mean? After that, it's just bolt-ons, you know, and tuning. I went through multiple stages of testing different size injectors, different size turbos, different tuners, and, I mean, over the past year, I mean, I jumped from, let's see here, from 566 to 600 to 700, and now at the 800, just over 800 marker. And actually, I think it could be more than that because it was just a street tune, but we found out on the dyno, once I put it in the hot tune, I was running out of fuel. I'm sure a lot of people would like to know what I'm running in the truck. This go around with the 800, I'm running 330, 150 injectors, a 69 SXE turbo, non-VGT. The manifolds, I had a lot of people ask me about what kind of manifolds are like using stock or using BD. I'm actually using the Steed exhaust manifolds. They seem to flow really good. But stage 3 intake by All Dogs. And right now, currently, the tunes that I'm running are through Innovative. Just trying them out. And I got to say, I'm really happy with the truck. I did have a few issues there in the beginning with the low-pressure pump because it was blowing up on me, and it happened a couple times where I had to replace a gerotor pump and a front cover a couple times. Come to find out, I don't really want to name the company, but I had to switch out dampeners and found out that was the issue. Obviously, currently running a billet low-pressure pump now as well, I think is also helping out there. But it's been fun. I mean, building power, reliable power. I can't say anything more than it's awesome to drive down the road and have somebody kind of look at you, rev their engine, and you blow their socks off. You know what I mean?
We all know it's the Cummins guy that's doing it.
So. And we have to mention that. I mean, Richard drives his truck about 100 miles a day. So
yeah.
It's not just a daily driver; it's a daily driver.
It's a commute. Yeah.
It's one of those. The 6-liter to me, I remember when they first came out. You know, guys that start doing exhausts and things on them. Is the sound of them. I love that sound. So I imagine with 800 horsepower and that charger and the tuning and just having fun with it.
You know what's funny is that my truck has absolutely no whistle whatsoever. It's just a loud grunt. It almost sounds like a Dodge, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's crazy. And people are like, "Where's the whistle?" I was like, "Nah, there's no whistle." Well, what'd you do different? I was like, "Well, could possibly be the turbo. Could possibly be that it's bored out 20 over, you know, it's just throaty, you know, but it's a nice sounding truck. So.
And now in the future, do you think you might push it a little bit farther?
Definitely. Actually, it's been talk around here like, man, you should just turn it into a race truck. I may be just purchasing probably another 6-liter. Daily driver, and I might just park this one and come up with something pretty radical and maybe start putting it on the track. So,
how quickly does the charger light?
What's that?
How quickly does the turbo light? Is it pretty quick?
It's pretty quick. I've actually kind of been bouncing around between 2 different turbos, the 69 and a 67. The 67, obviously, it lights up pretty quick. The 69 is a little bit more laggy, but it's not much at all. I mean, the truck is extremely sensitive. I mean, you can barely tap on the gas, and I mean, the boost gets up quick, you know. The thing wants to blow some air.
So.
And you know what? Really, one of the big things that that's hit the market lately is the new O-Dog intakes. These things guys are seeing phenomenal performance out of these, and with the fully ported, it's a cast fully ported intake. We're seeing average about 27 to 35 horsepower gain, 80 foot-pounds of torque, and significantly improved spool up. Lower EGTs. It's awesome.
We did some testing. Well, we didn't do it in house, but we deal with Paul over at Dynamic Diesel in Michigan, and we took when it comes to intake porting, especially with the 6-liter platform, Oliver from California's got the market, and he used to basically take the stock intakes, cast them out, gut them. Well, now his newest intake is all casted. It's really a piece of art. We took a stock manifold and put it on the bench, and we're getting about 23-24% more flow. We encourage customers. I've actually put a post out there. If you don't like it, I'll basically give you your money back. I tell customers the exact same speech. We've got customers out there claiming about a 3 mpg gain, throttle response, lower EGTs. So you'd be surprised how the community. The dealer community is so large, but very small. There's a really good niche of people, and there's a lot of hidden talent. Throughout the community. You've got guys like Oliver. He does this on the side. He's got a full-time job. You've got Luke Harrington, who does amazing fabrication with up pipes and turbo kits. And some of the bigger name guys, Jesse Warren, we use his injectors.
Josh over at MPD.
Right. Maryland Performance, and just a lot of the smaller shops. My boys over in Arizona, Diesel and More, Joseph Harms in Virginia. Bulletproof Diesel has definitely done a lot of stuff, a lot of engineering with the 6-liter platform, and they show us a lot of support. But the biggest game changer for us, Pat, I would like to tell you that it's probably been Moroso Performance. They've opened up their doors to us. They're huge in the gasoline industry and the racing industry. And somehow I came in contact with Doug Vine, which is one of their sales managers, and he's been nothing but great help for the company. And basically we've got our own product line. You heard Richard said earlier about opening the hood, and you want to be wowed, by engine accessories, dress-up kits. Well, that's big in the muscle or classic hot rod or even the import scene. But what was being done to the diesel community? Nothing. It's basically just wheels, tires, lift kits, and other accessories. Well, we took it one step further, and now we've got a whole engine dress-up lineup for the 6-liter platform. The coolant reservoir that has gotten a lot of attention. It left me stranded 3 times before we came up with the idea. It left me on the side of the road, and I'm like, man, there's got to be something that we can do about this. Like, how many customers have been through this, Well, I'm not sure if somebody upstairs was listening to me, but the next morning I got a phone call from Doug Vine, and basically that was a relationship within itself, and that was kind of like the changing game for engine dress-up. And so products are available online. We've got a couple of distributors throughout the country. Most of the stuff is in stock, so if you haven't seen us, check it out at pspdiesel.com. And
that's one of the things that has really got me excited. I never owned a Powerstroke. I've been around them, and I remember, just in the past, it was always Cummins Duramax,
right,
and everything. And what has happened with the 6-liter, along with the other trucks, is just this huge leap forward. Like the power levels that they're making, it's no joke.
Crazy. It's crazy. I think what Jesse put down at last year's UCC, I think it blew everybody away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that there's things, everyone's trying to keep up, and push the envelope with their platforms. And I wanted to ask you guys, what are you guys planning for 2017? What are some milestones or some goals you want to hit on the performance side with these platforms?
I'll tell you of a personal project. The company as a whole has our own race truck that we're kind of showing movement, but it's kind of slowed things down a little bit. because we've got a dyno event. We've got one of our facilities houses a Mustang 1750 that we've been chopping away on some calibration, some tuning, and we've got some of that coming up here shortly for the 6-liter. Well, across the board, just Powerstroke in general. But we've been putting on dyno events, and March 11th will be our second one, and that's kind of the deadline. For me as a personal goal, I've got a 2005 F-250 single cab short bed that I'm sure if the guys follow us, they've been seeing the project, the timeline as it progresses. But I took this truck and took the rear suspension off of it, turned it over into a rear coilover, and I'm building a tri-setup, basically. It'll have two 64.5 70s feeding into a 369, so I'm expecting very, very fast spiel up. Big injectors, and I talked earlier about some of the hidden talent with a lot of these guys in the diesel community. I've been getting support from Oliver, Paul, Rhett Snyder. He's done some amazing things with cylinder head porting. We took a set of cylinder heads and he had them CNC'd. We're getting about 80 CFMs more than stock. So I can't wait to have that thing on the ground and on the dyno and on the street. I'm going in with the dry sump setup Morosa put together. I kind of presented it to Doug, and I told him, why ain't the diesel community as a whole, why aren't we triggering a dry sump setup? And he's like, well, what do you mean? It's very popular in gas racing and just racing, the racing scene within itself. And I'm like, well, I would want to do something with the dry sump. He's like, okay. He's like, well, let's talk about it. How serious? And I'm like, well, you need a core. We need to get together and talk about this. So basically, we've developed, we've got the pump, a 4-stage pump in place. We've got a shallow pan. We've got the drive gear. Everything's in place. Doing away with the low-pressure pump, which is a known failure at high RPM for the 6-liter Powerstroke. It's obviously got built internals. So I'm hoping for moderate power on the street. I tell myself moderate. Well, what is moderate? I'm hoping for about 900 horses. You know what I mean?
I think the rest of us are hoping for 1,000 horsepower daily driver.
I don't want to set the bars too high because I don't want to fall short. But I think if I'm able to put down 850, 900 horses on a little 6-liter tri-turbo setup, and it's streetable with heat and AC for the Texas summer, I'm cool. I'm stoked.
Oh yeah, that's the ultimate right there.
So that's what we've got for 2017. Of course, just give good customer service, doing what we do, and hopefully we're able to accomplish.
We're going to have our product line too. Our motto is reliable performance. So if we've got customers that are looking to build serious power, it's not going to do them any good if the truck is broke down in their garage half of the year. So not only continue to develop reliable performance in the shop, but expanding the products that we're developing so that we can extend that reach beyond the customers that walk in our front door.
That's probably one of the hardest things to convey on a podcast is the accessories you mentioned and the parts and the upgrades you guys do. They're works of art. They look beautiful. You just want to look at them, Whenever I see them online, I just want to look at them.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
And there's going to be a big expansion in the product line going into the first and second quarter of 2017. So, Dodge and Duramax guys, keep a lookout because we're going to make sure you guys get taken care of too.
Where's the best place for our listeners to go and see these parts and keep up with you, through the race season and see what these daily drivers are doing and dynos and everything?
Social media is always a great way to see what we're doing lately. So we've got Facebook and Instagram at PSP Diesel. We've got our primary shop page where you can reach us at pspdiesel.com, and then our product page is shop.pspdiesel.com, and you can link to that through our primary web page. But like I said, how social media is nowadays. As soon as we come up with something new, we'll throw it up there and get people's feedback. And we're always open to customers' feedback and what they want to see. Tell us what you guys want to see on your trucks, and we'll do everything we can. And we're definitely open to custom setups too.
The dyno event, we're going to try to live feed, and the first one played out very well. We had a pretty good turnout. We had about 18, 20 trucks we put on the dyno, and we're advertising it as tacos and dynos. It's just fun, something funny that we thought about, and good food, good crowd, good trucks. So it don't matter if it's a Powerstroke, Duramax, or Cummins. We love them all. It's just Powerstrokes is kind of where we started, and we've got some really good techs. We've got master techs on both ends, or actually on all three ends, including myself and my partner Richard. So we will show support to all three. It don't matter.
You had me at taco, man. I'm there. Well, we appreciate you guys being on the podcast and sharing with us, your experiences with the 6-liter Powerstroke and what you guys have found that works. Make them reliable and then keep them going, in those higher mileage applications. And this 800 horsepower daily driver that I know it lit up social media. I don't know how many times I watched the video on it.
Did. And anybody, any listener out there, we keep it we're pretty chill around here. You guys can go ahead and call the shop, hit us up on Facebook. But if you guys have any questions about what you're buying or what you're getting into, what to expect, please, we're a phone call away. We won't turn you down.
And if you come by the shop, right at 5 o'clock, we'll probably put a Modelo in your hands.
There you go.
And keep an eye out. We've been doing a lot of, having a dyno is just a phenomenal resource. So we're gonna have some tuning, especially 6-liter tuning, hitting the market soon.